Hello, everyone. My name is Neal Bawa. I am your storyteller for the evening. My fellow storyteller, Anna Myers, is with me here as well. This is a story that I've wanted to tell for many years. And as you know, I do 7 or 8 different presentations. There's the annual real estate trends presentation. It covers the best cities to invest in and immediate trends. Our location magic event gives you the data science toolkit to find the most profitable markets. And our banking webinars, it explains why real estate only becomes more expensive each year. But for the longest time, what I wanted to do was to zoom up in Virgin Galactic's new rocket to the 50-mile level and look down at the real estate world from space and figure out the truly disruptive trends that are driving real estate forward for the next decade. The game changers. These are the Amazon and Google level events. And to find these top trends, my team actually went through more than 50 trends. And then we picked the 10 that we think are the most powerful, the most profitable, the most earth-shaking. And that is the story that we're going to tell you tonight. All right. So just a little bit about us. I would guess that about 70% of you know us well, but for the 30% that are brand new, I'm a quirky, opinionated data scientist. Whoops, this one keeps running along. And technologist. We buy and build large projects, multifamily, student housing, industrial, self-storage. These are some of our favorite watering holes. The portfolio is about 500 million. There's about 500 investors that are currently invested with us. More than half of our projects are new development. The top row you see there are large townhome projects. The middle row and the lower row, they're large apartments and student housing. And the last one on the bottom right is actually a large industrial projects. And I love all of these, but cash flow is king. So the other half of our portfolio are ugly duckling, multifamily, and self-storage projects that produce millions of dollars of beautiful cash flow for our 500 plus happy investors. Okay, let's get this show on the road. I said I would tell you about 10 earth-shaking trends. And these trends, they're all tied back in some way or the other to COVID. Now, disclaimer, COVID's not one of the 10 trends, but it's accelerated all of these 10 trends. Remember what I'm about to say, because I'm going to say it a number of times. Hitler brainwashed 20 million Germans. COVID brainwashed 7 billion people. It affected us all. It changed us all in very subtle ways. We now have new fears, new needs, new comforts. And there lies the great opportunity of the next decade. Because people don't just snap back after trauma. That's not the way the human mind works. So once you understand that as an investor, that the biggest impact of COVID is not as a disease, it's as the way it changed the world. If you understand that, you can now look into the future and see trends that you simply couldn't see before, with some help from me. As you can see, COVID changed things. On the screen, you can see a bunch of things that were hugely affected by COVID in good and bad ways. The ones in the first row are really well known. As you go down the rows, there are many trends there that may not be as obvious, that are actually more powerful for investment. Scan through these so I can actually get you ready for the trends. Okay, with these in mind, it's time for our first disruptive trend. And that trend is hybrid work. Today, after all the research that my team's done, I can say with absolute certainty that the world will never go back to where we were before the pandemic. HR department after HR department is releasing surveys that for white-collar workers, the meaning of work has changed completely. Google, Apple, Facebook, Microsoft, many other companies are facing mini revolutions by their employees. Apple's offer to have 2 days of remote work and 3 days in the office, it's not going over well. Reportedly, there are thousands of employees that want more flexibility or they're going to vote with their feet. So let's dive deeper into this hybrid work phenomenon and what it could mean for you as a real estate investor. So COVID was, and still is, the greatest single home working experiment in history. Tens of millions of CEOs, bosses, were simultaneously trained in how to run their companies remotely. And they all discovered, to their utter shock, that they got more work out of employees than they did the year before, more productive. And as a result, it's our belief that 2021 will forever be known as the first year of the hybrid office phenomenon. Just as we've become used to on-demand streaming and shared cars and shared vacation offices, the office will become increasingly a place where employees go when it suits them, or when the office fulfills a specific need. Take a look at the screen. 95% of employees want hybrid work. Huge. 75% are willing to trade perks for flexibility. 64% are willing to pay more for access to a workplace. Half of them would even fork over money to pay for a co-working space if their company didn't pay for it. These are huge numbers, and employers are bowing one after the other to demands from workers. And if they're not, here's a statistic. The number of employees resigning their jobs, if not given flexibility, highest in history. As they say, once you get addicted to a better life, people will not go backwards easily. Okay, fine. Neal, what does it mean for me as a real estate investor? Well, we've got 6 takeaways for you up on the screen. We're continuing to see people move to distant suburbs or even to rural or remote communities. We're living in the age of the tertiary market. We will continue to see demand for more bedrooms, so larger homes and larger apartments will become the norm. If a metro's hottest demand was for 3-bedroom homes, it's now 4. If the strongest apartment market was for 1-bedroom apartments, it's now 2 bedrooms. Tied to that is a greater need for co-working spaces, but not in downtown San Francisco or New York, but in the suburbs. So there's a great investment opportunity to invest in suburban co-working projects. And finally, we see bidding wars continuing and even accelerating in suburbs and remote communities. This means that the next 10 years could be really good for beautiful communities like Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, St. George, Utah, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and Asheville, North Carolina. These are all places with natural beauty, high quality of life, and people will flock to them.